Long before the days of daily vloggers, web series, let's play channels, and community commentary videos, there was an entirely different beast that encompassed what we know as YouTube today. The year 2006 can be considered the Wild West of the YouTube era, as online video streaming was, at the time, a much smaller market back then. This ultimately left the notoriety door wide open, and YouTubers such as Smosh, Nigahiga, Philly D, and iJustine sought after the chance to make videos simply because they had a passion for doing so. As we know today, their channels have since taken off, leaving their names forever rooted in YouTube history. Now, jumping forward a decade here, you may remember a YouTuber by the name of Benjamin Bennett. Famous for his eerie YouTube series, Sitting and Smiling, Bennett has been the subject of many online analytical and list videos, primarily due to the unorthodox nature of his content. What if I told you though, that instead of sitting there for hours instead of minutes, that his idea wasn't all that original? What if I also told you that he was a solid 10 years late to the party of sitting in front of a camera and doing absolutely nothing? Well, that's because he was. Allow me to introduce you to Magibon. Margaret Lillian Adams, also known today as Magibon, started her YouTube channel in 2006 under the name Imririan. Her very first video, titled Me Doing Nothing, has since spawned a wildfire of over 100 similar videos, each spanning an average of 46 seconds. As we just witnessed, her content, like she says, consists of Magibon doing, well, nothing, and staring at the camera until uttering a short phrase in Japanese.
皆さんこんにちは、マギボンです。
She'll typically say something along the lines of Konnichiwa, Magibon desu, or bye bye at the end of each video. Surprisingly, she gained rapid notoriety, and by 2010, her channel boasted a very considerable amount of subscribers. Alongside this, her videos would garner upwards of over 500,000 views each time, and as a result, she amassed a lot of online hate, primarily due to the idea that she's become internet famous for doing absolutely nothing. Anyway, backing up to 2008, Magibon had reached her prime, if you will, on her channel, and with this newfound notoriety, she found herself landing a TV deal with a Japanese internet television company called Gyao. With this, she was flown out to Japan to make a debut appearance in a TV show by the name of Midtown TV. In April of 2008, a fan event was scheduled for the show and she was supposed to make an appearance. However, this was promptly cancelled due to threatening emails that she would soon receive. In October of that same year, she was invited to the 21st annual Tokyo Film Festival and made an appearance as a voice actress in the film Blue Symphony. This, alongside many other appearances at various high-profile Japanese events and works, such as Japanese Playboy and YouTube Live Tokyo, would allow us to draw the conclusion that Magibon was, much like Philly D and iJustine, attempting to cement herself in internet history, whether intentional or not. While she seemed to be at her peak during this point in time, not all would be sunshine and rainbows. Magibon, during this time, had a peculiar online stalker, so it seemed. A user by the name of Frank would launch an ominous website with the URL magibon.com, and here we would find disturbing videos about his endless obsession with the star. Allegedly, he had attempted to contact Magibon in real life, however his attempts were futile. Out of spite, he would proceed to launch this. I am Frank. Without your eyes I can't be blessed. Let magpies pick my worm-rid soul and claim the two that others coined. For when 3 and 4 are joined, 7's secret will never be told. What's to come is still unsure. In delay there lies no plenty. We'll count your crookeds, sweet and 20. Youth's a stuff will not endure. You'll be my Magdalena beating, journey's end and lover's meeting. Frank would make 3 other videos for Magibon, which we'll get to shortly. However, I wanted to point out that many of the lines that he uses in this video are taken from the Shakespearean poem, Twelfth Night. Strangely, in the poem, the 2 characters in question are a jester by the name of Fest and his mistress, Olivia. The line, journey's end and lover's meeting, is a reference to the pair falling in endless love. Whether, in this situation, Frank is actually married or is just attempting to be poetic in his disturbing romance is unclear. However, I just thought that'd be an interesting tidbit to note. Now, video 4 here just says, I'm sorry, and there's really nothing more to it. Before we proceed and take a look at the other 2 videos, I wanted to make a note here real fast that the 2 uploads on the website itself are actually the 3rd and 4th ones that Frank had created for her. For some reason, 1 and 2 were taken down, but luckily for us, have been archived on the internet. So, backing up here, what do videos 1 and 2 even show? Let's take a look. So here, we can see our alleged Frank in a gas mask. He seems to be in a room with Magibon's videos playing on a projector. The text that pops up states things such as, I want Magibon and Yaranaika, accompanied by a disturbing drawing of himself next to a crudely drawn representation of her. After looking into the Yaranaika quotes, I came across a Japanese manga by the name of Kuso Miso Technique, also known as Shit Soup Technique in translation. Apparently, the term is the opening catchphrase which translates to, shall we do it? So, with this and the Shakespeare quote, apparently our Frank here is cultured enough to reference these various works of art. So is he being serious? At the time, many that came across this feared for Magibon's safety and well-being, as this guy clearly seemed to have a disturbing obsession with her. Video 2 is a bit longer, spanning just over 2 minutes rather than 36 seconds. In this, we can see Frank introduce himself as the person in the gas mask, and if we pause at the 36-second mark in this one, we can see him writing out the very same text that we found in the captions of video 3. Afterwards, we can notice much of the same, disturbing types of imagery that we've seen prior. Take a look. So here, instead of being in a room with a large projector playing Magibon's videos, he's in front of multiple monitors and appears to rub his hands on her face in a very strange manner. Now, with all the content that we've covered here on Nexpo, we've seen editing with creepy ARGs like this before. In fact, it's pretty commonplace nowadays to find YouTube channels that exhibit the same style and editing practices, but back then, this kind of content was very few and far between. Strangely, this lasted for a couple years, and to his dismay, Magibon continued to ignore it. In 2014 though, Magibon ceased to upload on her channel. Her final video was released on November 18th of that year, and, out of nowhere, she would vanish from the platform without a trace. Now, wait a minute. I know you may be wondering,
Okay, Nexpo, what the hell even is this? Did she die? Is she still around? What happened?
Thankfully, no, she didn't die. She's still around and actively posts on her Instagram and Twitter accounts at Magibon2015, and apparently is happily married and is doing pretty well for herself. So, she's doing okay, she's not dead, and everything blew over. Now what about Frank? Who is this guy and what was this all about? After doing some digging through Reddit and various other archive websites, it turns out that Frank actually isn't named Frank at all. Apparently, he's a digital art student by the name of Joachim Danung. Back then, his main goal was to create a social experiment on all of us to determine just how many website views he could amass off of the success of another online personality. According to a post by him on a now defunct website called NetArt, Joachim directly owns up to the act, claiming that it's an artifact that's entirely an experiment in memetics. It exploits the mystery of the bizarrely popular YouTube video blogger Embrarian, also known as Magibon. He then goes forth to claim that, being an experiment, the project is presented in two parts. On one hand, there is Frank and his fictional films. On the other, there is documentation of the outcome, which you're looking at. After over 90,000 visitors and being linked to and discussed on a myriad of blogs, forums, and mail services, it's necessary to attempt an overview of the effect. Based on server statistics, along with collected samples of internet debate and inspired video reinterpretations, this documentation interface aims to summarize and deliver the general idea. Looking back, it's safe to say that Joachim's project ended up being a success, since when Googling the term Magibon, his website is among the top search results. Interestingly, I feel like this, whether intentional or not, has spawned influence on the many ARGs and web series that we have today. Although Magibon's content was mysterious within its own right, I find it interesting that in this case, we have different layers of what we can find creepy with her. I feel that in this day and age, putting yourself out there is so commonplace now that we don't exactly consider the repercussions that it could have on someone. Magibon was likely pretty damn disturbed by this back then, and honestly I don't blame her. This all happened nearly a decade ago, way back when putting your face out there seemed much more unorthodox and rare. The Wild West days of YouTube are an enigma, and it's safe to say that I'm glad Magibon made it through this and is doing well for herself. You may have seen my Stalker video from last year, and I can attest, no matter how serious or humorous the intention is, it's definitely not something that's fun to deal with. Anyway, with that, we wrap up the tale of Magibon's online stalker. Ironically, this is my first video of being on camera, and to close, I'd like to ask you guys, what do you think? Do you like this on/off camera format, or should I just stick to narration? I don't know, I really want to become more personable with you guys, and after a year and a half of doing just narration only, I feel like it's time to shake it up, so I'd love to hear what you think. Anyway, to wrap this up, thank you guys for joining me in this investigation of Magibon's online stalker. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in the next one. I love you all, and good night.